Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome to the Sacred Soul Shift series. I'm your host, Vanessa, your trusted soul navigator and energy alchemist. In this series, we'll embark on soul-stirring adventures through the realms of intuition and self-healing with women across all modalities, where ancient wisdom and modern insights intertwine. So if you're tired of the scripted routine and ready for healing and growth, my kindred spirit, this series is crafted just for you. It's time for your Sacred Soul Shift.
Today, we have special guest Sue Rogers here with us today. She's a bit of a wellness guru. I'll just read her little bio for you all. Sue Rogers is a best-selling author. We're going to talk about her book today. She's a speaker and mentor specializing in wellness. Her life experience plus 20 years in the wellness industry gives her the edge on helping people transform their lives in mind, body, and soul. She's all about all the good things. So I'm just going to bring her in for you. Good morning, Sue. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Vanessa. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's exciting. I love bringing in all these different women that have such transformational stories to share with us. I think it's a really inspiring to hear other women on similar journeys to us and how they've overcome all of the life junk, as you call it, in life that we experience along the way. You know, we all have different paths, but listening to other people's stories, we can grasp little tools and methods and, ways of experiencing and overcoming things as we go along, and sharing stories is a great way to do that. So thank you for being in this space with these beautiful women today and sharing your beautiful story.
Of course. The only reason I started sharing was because of hearing so many other women's powerful stories. And I had one in me that I finally thought I'm going to put it all in writing and share it with the world.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and I think it's really empowering to get your own story out there. I know it can be quite confronting, even if you come from, a bit of a spiritual and, a health and wellness background. It can still be confronting no matter how many times you tell your own personal story. I know we've got those little niggly voices in our head, even though we know as, healers and wellness experts that's not the right way to think and feel. But sometimes, it can be confronting putting yourself out there so vulnerably. So thank you for showing up. We're just going to dive straight in. I always start with going right back to the start because I know as, people that work in this industry, as we shift and begin to, move from those low moments in our life, that's when all the teachings and the methods and the tools start coming into our life naturally. So I like to take it right back to the beginning. And if you could just share your story, I want to know all the juicy details of what happened, what helped you along the way, tools and sometimes some methods and exercise, foods, people, whatever kind of helped you on the way. We would love to know all the juicy details. So if you could take us back to the beginning and take it away.
I am a child of the 80s and 90s, and we grew up eating junk.
Mm-hmm.
Here in the US, it was lots of junk, lots of antibiotics for any time you're sick. So growing up, I ended up finding my way into health and wellness through college. I also grew up dancing, and I ate whatever I want because I danced and played sports and did whatever. So my body burned off the calories, but my insides were getting ruined. Nobody knew. Like we didn't know then what we know now. So I ended up going to college, didn't know what I wanted to go learn about, 18 years old. And they're like, here, decide what you want to do for the rest of your life. And nobody knows. So I ended up leaning towards wellness, and that's what my college degree is in. And then from there, I started teaching fitness, yoga, Zumba, water aerobics, regular old school aerobics, Pilates, preschool gymnastics, senior citizen fitness classes. I've taught just about everything.
All the things.
Watching people just feel better after exercise and being able to reach big groups of people that way always filled my cup. It was such a blessing to be able to teach an entire class of 50 yoga students and see everyone after class look exactly like they would if they had just walked out of getting a massage, that fully relaxed. And I always told my students, this is the one class that if you fall asleep, that means I did a good job. So then, from there, as I went on with teaching and helping people through fitness and my own health journey, and realizing I needed to start healing my gut, and gut being tied to worry. If you're a constant worrier, it directly affects your stomach, ulcers, heartburn, that kinds of thing. Emotions and your internal organs are all connected. So figuring out how to heal myself mentally, physically, and nutritionally, because really that was the nutrition was the huge piece of the pie that I was missing in being able to really kind of have true healing happening within my gut.
Yeah. And it's so true that along with worry, excuse me, comes a lot of stress as well. And those hormone imbalances can lead to a lot of sickness and illness as well. And as you were saying, it's typically what you can't see happening on the inside. You know,
Yes.
it'll take a while for the emotional turmoil to begin manifesting, you know, in ways that you can feel it. And typically by that stage, it's disease or sickness that needs treating. So it's really important to be able to notice when you're dropping into those states of deep worry, or to notice if you're in a state of constant worry, as you were talking about, because that's not very healthy, and you may not realize that you're in that state until it gets, you know, to the point of illness, really.
Yeah. Or really having any idea that they're connected. I didn't put that together until later on in the journey of healing, but they're 100% connected.
Yeah, so true. And so what made you realize that the exercise wasn't, you know, doing everything to heal your body? Was it continual illness, or were you just not feeling well, or what was leading to, you know, the decision that, okay, I need more than just physical exercise?
Yeah. So physically, I looked fine. I was in good shape because I was teaching and working out all the time, and I was eating okay. I didn't eat terrible, but I wasn't feeling great. So after I had my 2 kids, I was in my early 30s, I started having this weird brain fog. But it would get to the point where I would be driving in the car with my 2 little kids in their car seats. And it wouldn't always happen when I was driving. It would happen at other points too, but I'd get that weird brain fog so bad that I would feel like I would be about to pass out. And it started happening while I was driving with my babies in the car. And I thought, this is not okay. If I pass out while I'm driving and crash this car, this is not okay. This is not normal. But it was so weird to describe what I was feeling, because it wasn't like nothing would happen after that. I would just feel really cloudy, foggy headed, but then nothing else would happen. So I ended up going into the doctor, and my mom went with me. My mom years ago had a benign tumor on her pituitary. And so we went in and we're like, you know what, just in case. My doctor said, you know, not to name any names, and pointed at my mom, and we all laughed. But he was like, I'm going to have you go ahead and do an MRI just to see what's going on, rule anything out, see what's going on up in your head. And the only thing that they found was inflammation in my sinuses. And I thought, okay, well, no tumor. Okay, that's good. But I was like, inflammation in my sinuses. And it makes sense. Like when your sinuses are inflamed, like the lining, it's right there on the lining of the brain. And so it's going to mess with how the brain sensations work. And he said, here, take this prescription nose spray and take these allergy meds. And I said, okay, for how long? And he said, forever. And I thought, no, that doesn't seem right to me.
That doesn't seem healthy.
Yeah. And I thought, well, you hear about all the side effects of taking prescriptions long term. And when I would take the allergy meds to dry out my sinuses, they would get so dried out that I started feeling like I was tweaking out. And I thought, okay, I'm not doing this either. So then I really started doing some research on my own on how to heal my sinuses. And as I was doing that research, I did find natural nose rinse that doesn't have any weird chemicals in it, totally all natural stuff. But I've also found in some of my research that if you have sinus issues, chronic sinusitis, chances are you also have acid reflux. And I thought, okay, well, I also have that. And what happens is your body produces extra mucus to coat the burn of all the stomach acid. And so I thought, okay, there's no way I'm ever going to heal my sinuses until I heal my stomach. And it literally was, I had been taking heartburn meds off and on through college, and I avoided taking them during my pregnancies, but it got really bad at the end of my pregnancies. And right in the drugstore aisle next to the heartburn meds were probiotics. And so I started making the switch to probiotics, and then started changing my diet more, incorporating more plants, because the fiber in the plants feeds your own good bacteria growth. And that kind of trickled the other changes that I started making as well.
For sure. Yeah, it's so important to realize that some things, like as we were talking about before with the stress and the worry, can set off and trigger, other parts of your body. And I find that it's so disheartening when doctors prescribe things for life. Like, not only is that such a huge financial burden, but you kind of realize, and you're kind of expecting them to know how to fix the problem, right? Or to give you some kind of understanding of what's setting off the problem in the first place. Like, how can you heal it, not just covering up the issue?
Yes, like I don't want to mask the symptoms. I want to know what's wrong, and I want to know how to fix it.
Yeah, that's crazy. So when you switched your diet, were you predominantly using like tablets, or were you switching like all of your food to like organic, or how did that change happen?
So a lot of it was just things that I was eating on, and then in addition, I was taking a good probiotic supplement, and then I found a few other supplements that are just all natural that anyone can find online, that were geared towards fixing leaky gut, because the more I looked into leaky gut syndrome, the more my symptoms related to that too. So I literally did, like, you can do your own research and kind of piece together and use things found in nature to kind of do a lot of your own healing. Now, clearly I'm not a doctor. So if you have like specific, like life-threatening things going on, make sure that you are seeing somebody to coordinate certain supplements, because some things react with others and would not be, totally recommended. But for me, it was just trial and error of adding in. And a lot of the supplements I took legitimately were just a bunch of really potent forms of herbs and things that are plants and things that people have used for centuries to heal. So more along the lines of like traditional Chinese medicine, as opposed to, just taking this prescription synthetic stuff that may or may not work, and definitely won't work long term without giving you another symptom of another illness.
For sure, yeah. I think it's really powerful to listen to your body as well. I know there's, naturopaths and all that sort of thing out there to go to if you're not quite sure what's going on.
Yes.
But I love that you meddled with trial and error, because I feel a lot of, inner healing and internal healing, you subconsciously know what's good for your body and what your body needs. So even if you're not sure, it's taking it and listening and tuning in to that body. And it's really, your senses are really sensitive. So I find it's really powerful to listen to your body and what's going on, and you can notice, subtle changes, and if you're feeling better or if you're not feeling better, and mixing it up until you find something that works for you. Not getting caught up on, what one blog says and sticking to that to that herbal, supplement for the rest of your life. It's really finding what works for you, and definitely go and see someone if you're not sure what's going on. Ask your doctor if you don't want, as you were saying, synthetic stuff. Go and see a naturopath. Herbal remedies are so powerful.
Yes,
and I love that
teachers are amazing. That's a great alternative if you're wanting true healing or finding the cause of whatever's going on to hopefully get some real healing happening.
Yeah, for sure. So how long kind of before things started to shift around? Was it pretty instant for you, or was it, a long period of working out what worked for you and listening to your body?
It was like when I first started doing all of the healing on the gut by just doing probiotics and the natural nose spray, and then working on even healthier things to eat. I played around with that for maybe a good year or two. And then after that initial year or two of trying a few things out, I got connected to an actual 30-day gut reset, more targeted program. And it was super easy to follow. And I thought, no, I'm doing okay. I'm doing pretty good. I don't think I really need this extra help. And I did it for 30 days. I didn't drink coffee for 30 days. I didn't drink wine for 30 days. And by day 5, I had more energy without drinking any coffee and felt amazing and had no idea my body could feel that much better. Like I was just in the place of okay, I'm getting up, I'm doing what I got to do, getting the kids ready, doing all their things all day long, working here and there all day long, off and on all day long. And this is just life. I'm supposed to be tired. I'm in my mid-30s. I should start to fall apart. And then I realized, no, that's garbage. That's not how it should be at all. I feel better now I just turned 41 in March. I feel better now. My body feels physically better now than it did in my 20s or 30s.
For sure. I love that. I love that you don't drink coffee either. I don't drink coffee, and I always get the question of how do you have energy? And I'm like, well, if you're not used to drinking coffee, you don't need coffee to find energy.
When I found I was even drinking 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day. And sometimes I was like, okay, I need a third cup because I still have to drive this kid to here and this kid to there. And the third cup would give me 0 energy. I would feel just as exhausted after as I did before I drank it. And I was like, well, that was pointless. And I just drank all that stuff for nothing. Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I loved the taste, the smell. I loved coffee. Every once in a while, I will have one now, but I doctor it up with coconut oil, honey, cinnamon, a good creamer, little splash of creamer, and make it to where it's not going to burn my stomach on the way down.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That sounds yummy. So what other tools and methods were you working with on your journey other than just gut health, or were you just focusing on gut health? I know you were still very active, in your business life. Was that kind of what was helping you, or were you using other things as well?
Yeah. So gut health. And then I really started for the first time ever diving into personal growth. I got my hands on tons of books. I think over the last 5 years, I don't actually even know how many books I've read over the last 5 years, but I ended up in a community of really amazing women. And for years, I didn't think communities of really amazing women existed because I had been around groups of the wrong kinds of not supportive people for so long. And I got plugged into this community and I was like, whoa, here's all these really awesome ladies working on who are already awesome, but want to be better versions of themselves. And it really forced me to stop and go, oh, I got a lot of work to do. So reading tons of really awesome books, and then reading those books is really what, led me on to finally writing one my own, but also yoga. Yoga was a very powerful thing that, as I've taught yoga for at least 20 years, and I didn't realize how impactful doing the meditation relaxation stuff at the end of each class, because I did all of the sessions that I taught with all of my students, because a lot of my students, it would be a course at the college. And so they would start at the very beginning, and most of them had never done yoga. So I did a lot of it with them to demonstrate until they got good enough that I could just walk around. But relaxation at the end, I'm always lying down with everyone and just enjoying the peace and quiet and the moments of clarity and reflection that happen during that quiet time with the right frequency of music playing that really just opens up your heart and your mind. I think I really didn't realize how impactful that was to do that almost on a daily basis for, almost 20 years, and have that be a huge part of what allowed me to process things that I had been through and gone through. That's the personal growth, the yoga, two very powerful things that helped me.
Yeah, that's powerful, because I always say, you know, I lead a lot of guided meditations, but I always say at the start, you know, it's a really powerful thing just to give yourself permission just to be in that space, even if you don't do the guided meditation, just to sit and to breathe and to take some deep breaths, and just give yourself permission to be there, because I think a lot of people struggle with the idea that they're allowed to sit in silence for a few minutes and not feel guilty, or, you know, feel like they're missing out on doing something else. It's a really strong time to find that inner connection.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So let's talk about your book. I love what it's called. Flowers, Faith, Finding Your Way, and Other F Words. I love that. You were talking a little bit more about it before when you were joining that group of women, but what kind of led you to wanting to share your story?
So I did always keep a diary and a journal. And some of my very first diary entry when I was like 8 years old, I think, is actually in the book with the incorrect spelling and everything. So some of those actual entries are in the very back of the book. And I didn't really realize how much writing was another outlet for me. And when I wrote this book, there were times where I was typing and crying because I was reprocessing things that I had been through and having new breakthrough moments about them while I was writing about them and processing them. And then I just lost my train of thought, but
That's okay. We're just talking about your book and what led you to sharing your story.
Oh, okay, yes. And then finally, really thinking, I had shared a lot of the stories in my book with people that I know. And every time I would share them, there would be these beautiful moments. Sometimes I'd hear incredible stories back from people. And that to me was really, really powerful. And so it took me 4 years, actually, from the day I first sat down and decided I'm going to write this book till the day that it was published, because I sat down and was like, okay, I'm finally going to write all this stuff out. And I typed about 10,000 words. And then I was like, okay, now I don't know what to do with it. And I'm a very big believer in timing and things, the world guiding me where I need to be, when I need to be there. So then I found a way to be able to hit the amount of words that I needed to hit. And then from there, the pieces just kind of naturally fell together. And then I finally ended up getting connected with someone who was able to help me make it actually look like a book and figure out how to do it all on Amazon and all that extra stuff. And then just being okay with, okay, here's my story. I'm going to put it out there. Some people may hate it, and that's okay, because it's really meant for the people who are going to connect to it and hopefully help them on their path.
I love that. I put a book out last year, and I get a lot of questions about, you know, aren't you scared of people knowing about you and stuff? And I'm like, yes. Like I was saying at the start, it can still be quite confronting when people find out, you know, personal information about you. But it's also super empowering to know that just one person that reads it and, you know, gets something for it, or propels them on a different path, or, you know, helps them in some way, that's worth it more than other people criticizing or judging a million times over.
Yes, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling about, you know, opening yourself up to so many strangers, but it's also so beautiful at the same time to be able to, you know, put things out there. And my book's not all about my personal story, so I presume it would be even more confronting. But it seems very cute that you've, you know, brought stories right back from your childhood into your book. So I'm going to read it and have a little bit of a read of it coming up soon.
I'm going to put some of these funny misspelled entries in here. Like literally the first one was from 1988. So yeah, I was 7. Yeah, I was 7 years old.
I love that. That's beautiful. And then, you know, it ties into your story, you know, where you came from and what happened as in your childhood, and then into, you know, adolescence and then adulthood. I'm sure people can draw on your story no matter what age that you put in the book, which is
yeah.
cute.
And it really was too, like a lot of like, here's my story, my experience, but what has life done that you're learning from and growing from, and more like reflect too on what your journey has been and where you're growing and evolving.
So true. Personal growth is so important. I think every human needs some form of personal growth, at every moment in their life, even if it's something small or something big that you're aiming for. I think life can be quite boring and very unchallenging if you're not doing some form of personal growth and development, meditation, yoga, reading, as you said, books, podcasts, something. It's very important,
And
to
like
grow and expand.
all the things you just listed, there's so many options: books, podcasts, read, like talk to other people. There's so many outlets now. And I'm working on with my kids are 17 and 13, and I've actually been working on personal growth with them for as long as I've been working on it on myself, because I wish in school, and I homeschool them now too, so I can teach them whatever I want. But I wish there had been more of a focus on things like this in school, and not just read this book about Greek mythology that you won't care about at all. How about we read this book that's going to help you maybe become a better version of yourself?
I agree 100%. And I always talk about this, that although we're asked, what do you want to do, as you were saying earlier, we're asked, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? And that can be quite a loaded question. And I think the question rather should be, what do you enjoy doing? What makes your heart sing? What's your passions? All the little things that trigger your inner happiness should be looked at more than what do you want to do for the rest of your life, and be pushed into uni and jobs that you hate straight up, at 17, 18 years old.
Yes. And right. And like I'm telling my kids too, like, hey, you may lean towards something now, but it may change. Like I have not, teaching fitness I've done for 20 years, but there's other little things. I'm now a published author. Like that didn't happen until I turned 40. But I, like you just said, I've told my kids, what do you enjoy? What makes you happy? Let's lean towards that, and you'll find something will pop up.
Yeah. And you're never too old to start. As you said, you didn't finish your book until you're 40, but I think a lot of people get in their minds that, it's too late, it's too late for me to go back and start learning something. Or no. No. You can start whenever you want. You can start yesterday. You can start tomorrow. You can start next year. You should never put a time limit on yourself or on your happiness. That's crazy.
Right? Don't be afraid of it. That's fear. That's one of the F words in my book as well. Like, don't be afraid. Like, so what if somebody is like, oh, you're going to do that now? Who cares what they're not living your life. And do you really want to get to the end of your life and be like, I really should have tried to do that?
For sure. Yeah. I'm one for doing that. I love experiencing all different things just for the sake of learning them and, trying them out. But a lot of people have criticized me for doing that. I never finished anything, or you're changing already, or you're doing something else. But I feel it's really important to listen to what your heart wants. And I've learned so much from doing all the different things, what makes me happy and what drives me. And you have wisdom along the way, it all adds up. And I really agree with you that, you're pushed in different directions for a reason. So you learn something along the way, or it helps you grow, or you're confronted with a challenge that you need to overcome. So there's always a reason for doing something, and it's never too late. And there's never going to be the perfect timing. So if you're waiting for something else to happen before you start doing what makes you happy, it's never going to happen.
Exactly. Yes.
That's so true. And imperfection, I think, comes along with that as well. Taking imperfect action.
Yes, because I am
perfection and timing is hand in hand.
Yeah, like recovering perfectionist right here. And then I realized, it doesn't have to be perfect. And there is no such thing as perfect at all, actually.
No, that's so true, because what you think is perfect, someone else might think is not perfect, or they might think something's perfect and you've done it and you're like, it's not perfect. So it's it's an inner critique. There is no perfect anything, really.
Yeah.
It's so funny. So what would you give other ladies that are going through, a similar life path as yours? What kind of advice would you give them for personal growth and, finding their inner health and that sort of thing?
First of all, keep going. Don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give up on yourself. Surround yourself with the right people. And sometimes that's hard because sometimes the people you've been around forever. And so to leave those people behind for you don't know who yet, because those people haven't come into your life, can be really scary. You may get judged. You'll probably get judged.
Mm-hmm.
But like, that's not to say you can't love them from afar. And you can still hang out with them if you so choose. But you know the saying, you're the average of the 5 people you're around the most. So look at who's around you. And if you're ready to go somewhere new with your life, start shifting who you're spending your time with to the people that are in the direction that you want your life to go. And be open to meeting people that you necessarily don't know. Like I'm very grateful to now have met you. There's so many people that I now have in my life that I may only have met virtually, but it's such a higher vibrating group of people that I know I'm on the right path. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there and be around the energy that you really want to have in your life.
Yeah, that's so true. I don't know if a lot of people know it already in my inner circle, but I'm very introverted and I'm very independent. So my happy and my, recharging energy is me just chilling on my own. So I find it, I'm getting used to it now, having these events and talking to women around the world. But as you said, it's uplifting, it's empowering to connect with people on the same, wavelength or higher. And once you start hanging out with people of similar vibration, what doesn't serve you just naturally falls away. So there's no need to, shun the people that you don't want to hang out with or that aren't, at the energy levels that you want to hang out with. It's about shifting and finding those people that do, bring out that inner spark inside you. And those people that, how we were talking about finding things that you enjoy that other people might judge, it's moving away from those judgy people, right? And finding the people that like those same things and understand you.
Yes, right? Because the people that you're more than likely going to gravitate to aren't going to judge you for trying new things. They're probably also trying new things, and everyone's supporting each other, whether we succeed or fail. It's, hey, you know what? You tried, you made an effort, try again, or try it this way now, or, whatever it may be. But the support and just the better energy of people saying, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. Here's how it's going to go wrong and why. And like, you don't need that. Get rid of that.
It's so true. And just having conversations can be personal growth as well. Just having a conversation that might click something or shift an energy or, shift an insight, something might spark inside you. You can get in so much from just having simple, natural conversations with people, whether you know them or you don't know them. It can be scary once you start doing it, but you can learn so much, and little internal shifts can happen. And that might, change or alter the path that you're on forever for the better. So don't be afraid to talk to people that you may not know but have the same interests or might know something that you're interested in knowing about. I find that for me, being someone that's quite introverted, I struggle to ask people random questions, but once I know that they like or they're interested in some of the things that I, especially in spiritual community, you probably have felt it also along your years in the spiritual industry, that sometimes it's a bit weird or frowned upon, or people don't get it if they're not aligned with their spiritual self. But asking questions is a really cool and powerful personal growth tool as well. It doesn't have to be books and podcasts, and it can just be one expanding conversation in your week that can change everything. So that's really exciting. So above this video, I'm going to add your links so people can find you at Balanced Day Life on your website, Facebook and Instagram at Balanced Day Life, and Sue the Boss. I will add your links up there so people can work with you and find out more about you if they like. I always finish my little interviews with these empowering women with one question.
Okay.
What is your message to the world? What is Sue? What does she want to share and express?
Wow. That one's a thinker. What do I want to express to the world? Oh man, because there's so much happening in the world right now too. Oh man, but like you've really stumped me.
What's Sue's legacy?
Oh gosh, man, this is like pop quiz time. I want people to be happy. I think I mentioned earlier, I'm a feelings person. I want people to feel good. You don't have to like me. You don't have to have anything to do with me. I want you to feel good for who you are and feel that in your heart and your soul, and just be happy in life.
Beautiful. I love that. And that's pretty much all that everyone needs, right? Is happiness and love. So that's a beautiful message. I love putting people on the spot to see what comes up.
Right? Surprise! Answer this question.
Because I feel that the message to the world is really what drives us. It's kind of like our innermost why we do things. And finding happiness is, that's what everyone craves, really. And you're doing that with what you do, is helping people turn inward and healing and finding that mind-body connection, which is beautiful.
Thank you.
So thank you for being here. I'm sure everyone that watches this is going to get some value from it, and I'll add your links, so if people want to find you and have a look at your book as well, they can do so. And thanks for joining us today, and have a great afternoon. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear souls, for joining me on this sacred journey. If you enjoyed this soul-nourishing experience, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon so you can stay connected and never miss a moment of our soulful exploration. Let's keep this transformative conversation going in the comments below. Share your insights, your dreams, and the magical moments you encounter. This is a community of like-minded souls, and your voice matters. If you're feeling called to dive even deeper into the realms of intuition and soulful living, remember that I'm here for you. Reach out to me through the links in the description. Let's embark on a personalized adventure to help you create the life of your dreams. This is Vanessa signing off from the Sacred Soul Shift series. Stay enchanted and keep shining bright.